Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. It is 7 o'clock. Please join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your taking your time to attend our meeting and welcome your comments. If you would like to share your thoughts with the board, please state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. This will keep the comment period to a reasonable length and still allow everyone an opportunity to speak. Please understand we will not respond to your comments or questions at this time. But if you would like a response, please be sure to include your phone number or email address on the sign-in sheet by the door. Please note that public comments on the agenda will occur during the first comment section, with all other comments occurring during the second comment section. Anyone who wishes to address the board, please step up to the podium and turn on the microphone so we can all hear your comments. Please turn cell phones off or to silent and no texting. Thank you. Our first item is item number 2 is correspondence. We have no correspondence tonight. Public comment session for items that are on tonight's agenda. We have no one signed up for anything that's on the agenda. Item number 4 is presentation of and guests, and we have Lori Thayer, who is receiving the Mid-Hudson School Study Conference Award of Excellence Support Staff Recognition presentation by Mrs. Long.
So good evening, Tri-Valley. And Mrs. Thayer was here, and we did a little celebration with a treat prior to the board meeting, and I accidentally released her. So I'll tell you a little bit about what we did. Lori was nominated for the Mid-Hudson Study School Council Award in Excellence and Support Staff. And we had a reception last week with about 12 of us. It was a wonderful event. And knowing how Lori feels about being in public, I think she would probably be recognized better this way anyway. So we want to say congratulations to her. She is an absolute asset to us, to all of our staff, and to all of our students. So thank you, Lori, for all you do.
Okay, thank you. The next presentation will be senior class advisors and officers.
Good evening. So we were just coming back to see if you had any further questions regarding the senior trip that the kids had presented. They were not able to be here tonight because they have a pretty big jam-packed weekend.
I'm not aware of any, so everyone, good?
Okay.
Okay.
Easy. Thank you.
All right, enjoy your trip.
Next to chaperone? Yeah, probably not.
The next presentation will be by the secondary school principal, Mr. Pulley, and graduate Lance Gibson, the second. Please step up.
Come on forward.
Lance Gibson.
This August, we had 2 graduates meet the graduation requirements, and we're very proud and pleased this evening to present Lance Gibson to receive his high school diploma and to be recognized as an August 2022 graduate from Tri-Valley.
Congratulations.
We also had one other graduate, Emily Young, who was unable to be here this evening. And what makes me very, very proud is all of the seniors who started with us last year graduated.
Okay, the next item up is D, is the NYSSMA update presentation by Kevin Giroux. Welcome.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for letting me come here to update you. So next weekend on the 18th and 19th, Tri-Valley will be hosting for its third time our Zone 9 NISMA Area All-State. We hosted it in 2013 for the very first time, again in 17 for the second time, and this year will be for the third time. We have over 400 students coming from 5 counties, Greene, Ulster, Orange, Sullivan, and Rockland counties. This is the best of the best in those counties based upon their NISMA scores from last year, as well as teacher recommendations of their character and maturity and so on and so forth. 4 ensembles will be performing. We have a mixed chorus, a treble choir, a symphony orchestra, and a symphonic band. Each of the ensembles will have a guest conductor chosen by a chairperson. They're coming from as far as North Carolina or Virginia Beach from the band. He's retired from the Navy, a captain, and he will be conducting the band. One of our students here at Tri-Valley will be performing, it's like 2 of our students will be performing. Connor Wyatt will be performing in the mixed chorus, and Armand Butler will be performing percussionist in the orchestra. I've worked actually nice and close with Mr. Whitaker, whose help is very appreciative in making sure all this happens without any hitches, as most is being expected, with 400 students coming in. We have about 32 to 40 districts coming in next weekend. That's why we are dismissing early, which is also very appreciative. Because Tri-Valley is kind of tucked in the middle of nowhere, usually our rehearsals are from 4 to 9, but we transfer it from 3 to 8, so districts in Rockland County can actually get back home at a reasonable hour, because they'll have to be here by 9 o'clock the next morning. So, and we do not homestay people because I can't homestay 400 people. Any questions on anything for Erie All-State? We have 2 concerts. The mixed chorus and the band will be performing on the first concert at 3:30 on Saturday, and then the orchestra and treble chorus will be performing at 5:30 the same day. Mrs. Long will be doing a nice little welcome, as well as our NISMA Zone 9 representative. And I've also, a good friend of mine who lives in the Albany area is our state officer. He is a second vice president for NISMA, in charge of all student events. He will be here, and he'll also give a nice little greeting to everybody in the audience. We've pre-sold about 1,100 tickets between the 2 concerts. So this is a very, very large event for us to hold, but our theater actually, because it's split up into 2 concerts, holds it quite nicely, so we'll be fine. Whitson's will be providing food for Friday night, and Neversink General Store will be catering lunch on Saturday, and everything will be in the cafeteria, so it actually works out pretty well. You guys have any questions on Erie All-State? I may know somebody who has VIP tickets, so if you want to go to the concert, just let me know, and we'll let you in. It's an amazing thing. Those of you who know Phil Pompey or know Phil Pompey, who just retired, he loved doing this festival specifically. He would just sit in the booth all day long and just listen to the amazing, amazing music that's being made, and just loved being here all day. It's just an amazing festival to watch, to have 5 counties come from the state and do their thing.
No questions, but I wish you guys lots of luck. It sounds fun.
Awesome, thank you. I did ask Ms. Long's permission to extend my presentation just a little bit. I want to talk about All-State. So Erie All-State is just our 5-county region. All-State is the entire state, and Tri-Valley this year has 2 students who are going to All-State. We have Connor Wyatt and Colin Metnish, who are going to be performing in the mixed chorus. This is only the third time since 1993 where we've had people in the chorus where we've had multiple people in All-State. Last year, we actually had 4 students in All-State coming off of a COVID year, which was amazing. But both of them, based upon their NISMA scores, they both got hundreds on their All-State scores that they have been accepted to All-State. The first person to be accepted into All-State for chorus in 93 was Mary Rose Diamond. She was actually accepted both band and chorus. She chose band, but that's okay. But she's the only one in Tri-Valley that's been accepted to both ensembles since we've kept records. So there's a really nice plaque upstairs in our display case to show all the kids who have been accepted to All-State. We've had 28 students since 1974 from Tri-Valley, to quote Mr. Itoro, rinky dink Tri-Valley, to go to the All-State level. It's pretty phenomenal. So that's pretty cool. The third part of my presentation is something that Kay Sutka, who was the band director here from 1997 to 2001 when she went out on a medical leave, we had collected in the department every concert program that we could possibly find, and we had archived them. I expanded that with some students about 6 years ago, and we have made copies for the district, our department. There's a copy in the Daniel Pierce Library, and I have a copy here for the board, so Mrs. Long can store it wherever she wants. But there are copies of all choral programs, band programs, musicals from 1952 on. Any type of correspondence from anything that happens to do with the music program is all archived. Every year, a new sleeve of programs will be updated, and it'll be all up to date. So I present this to the board as their copy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Drew, while I got your attention, do you have the copy, the record of 65 that was cut by the district or by the chorus from the district?
I have no idea. Whatever's in there, I don't know. You can look, though.
You should listen.
Okay. Any further questions?
I don't have a question, just a comment. First, thank you for your presentation.
Thanks.
And second, congratulations to the boys for making All-State. That's pretty tremendous.
So they'll be performing in Rochester at the Eastman School of Music in their gorgeous, gorgeous theater. So I'll put an article in the guidepost with pictures and everything after they get back, so everyone will know about it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
It is not too shabby, and everybody actually in our zone really likes coming to Tri-Valley. Even they said it's in the middle of nowhere, but it's the best auditorium theater around for hosting music festivals, and they do love coming here. So it's an honor for us to host it. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is item 5 is the superintendent's report by Superintendent Erin Long.
Thank you. Good evening again, Tri-Valley. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. On October 30th, Sunday afternoon, Tri-Valley hosted our trunk or treat, and it was a huge success. So I wanted to give a shout out to our PTO for organizing such an amazing event. We had served candy to over 500 students. We probably had 50 cars lined up in the parking lot, and the weather was beautiful, and it was just a fantastic day. So it was just so nice to have everybody out. This morning we had an amazing Veterans Day assembly, and here on the stage or up on the table is a flower that was given to us from the VA. So it was an absolutely amazing event. Our students were so in tune with the message that they heard from our veterans, and really nice to honor some of our veterans that work with us here at Tri-Valley. Next week, a reminder for all of us, we have our board retreat on the 16th at 5:30. We're probably going to be meeting here since we're double booked at the Daniel Pierce Library, but I will make sure you know all that. Next Thursday, we are hosting a job fair here in the lower library from 4 to 7. We will have pizza, we will have childcare, and just an opportunity to share with our community some of the sub positions that we have available. So far, we've had 11 people RSVP that they're coming, so we're pretty excited to see if we can open up some opportunities for some community members to join us. Kevin talked about the music festival. And then finally, I just want to give such a kudos to the cast and crew of Alice in Wonderland and to all of our fall athletes. I am so impressed with how we compose ourselves, our cooperation, our camaraderie, and just the professionalism that our staff, but especially our students show on the stage, on the field, and best of luck to our boys football team and our cross country team competing in states this weekend.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Long. The next item up on the agenda is item 6. Does the board want anything pulled from tonight's consent agenda? Okay. Item 7 is, can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Motion by Randy,
Second.
second by Rose. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Yay.
We missing anyone?
Me? I'm on my way. I'm not sure what happened. Okay. Give me 1 second. That's what I had to do. I'm on my way. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, it's unanimous, thank you. And be it resolved, the board approves the consent agenda. Recommended action, including the business portion, items 7A through V. Thank you. Our next item is item 8, and it is the board committee reports. Before we get started with the first one, do we have any board chairs who want to bring anything before the board? Any updates or anything? Danielle? Okay, sure, go ahead.
Good evening. So the Wellness Committee met last evening. There was 4 of us present, and some of the priorities that we discussed for the Wellness Committee was the overall looking at attendance and chronic absenteeism, as brought forth by Dave Pulley and Jen Williams earlier in the start of the school year. And then how do we identify trends for that, and then potential solutions. Addressing mental health, physical health, food insecurity, financial management and security, technology, drug and alcohol abuse, and school safety are all some of the topics we discussed in last night's meeting. And basically what we're looking at is in cooperation with Matt Haynes and the Community Action School program that we're looking at, based on feedback of that the surveys that are coming, we will determine what the priority is for the board to address from a wellness standpoint. So our next meeting will be in January after we receive all the results from all the surveys. And in the meantime, also congratulations to Jason Kloss for being the wellness director and some of the initiatives that he's recognized and put in place for the school. For instance, there was a chill and fill installed recently for the children, and also the snack program after school for the athletes has changed. Jason recognized that our student athletes and some of the after school programs, the kids were not only dehydrated but lacking nutrition. And through the chill and fill and also his snack program after school, the athletes have been lining up and doing a much better job of getting the adequate nutrition and getting hydrated. So kudos to him. And then also, congratulations to Deb Kelly and Danielle Cornish for their active parenting series. We had a successful meeting this week for the parents. Over 20 parents showed up for the active parent series for transition night. And so those are some of the things that the Wellness Committee has attended. And I've also attended the first district wellness meeting with Jason Kloss as head of. And then also that was on October 25th. And on October 26th, I attended the first meeting for Community Action School, or second meeting for Community Action Schools. So that is all I have to report.
Great, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to, item 8 is going to be, we're going to try to adopt policy number 2342. The title of the policy is Agenda Preparation and Dissemination. It's the second reading and adoption. Can I have a motion to accept the Agenda Preparation and Dissemination policy? George?
Second.
Do I have a second by Pat?
If I may, is it appropriate for a committee member to move it?
You first. I mean, yes, you moved it. Pat second.
Just as long as it's okay.
Yeah. And is there any discussion? Okay, please proceed to vote.
Yay.
Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board reviewed and adopts policy number 2342, agenda preparation and dissemination, as attached to the public portion of this agenda. Next item is under number 8 is 8B, and it is just a public for information purposes. It is board policy committee meeting. October 13th, 2022 summary, and that is first reading, and it is just for information. Item C is board policy committee meeting October 24th, 2022 summary, and that is also just for public information. Item D is policy number 0115, student harassment and bullying prevention and intervention. It's a first reading, and that is for public information as well. Item E is the regular meetings first reading, policy 2310, and that is for public information as well. Item F is policy 2340. Notice of meetings is first reading, and that is for public information. Item G is policy 2360, minutes, first reading, and it's for public information. Item H is policy 5225, student personal expression, first reading, and that's for public information. Item I is policy 5300.30. It's prohibited student conduct, and that is first reading, and that is for public information. 8J is policy 6680, internal audit function, first reading, and that's for public information. Now we move to item number 9 is old business. Is there any old business anyone has for anything? Okay. We're going to move to item number 10, public comment session for items that are not on tonight's agenda, and we have Justine Scully. please step to the podium and turn on the microphone. Welcome.
Okay, is that on? Oh, it's on. Okay. So athletic practice was canceled on October 19th. Apparently, there was only an in-school announcement made during 7th period on that day. There was no advance notification made to parents or guardians. I and many other parents scrambled to make sure childcare was in place. Not communicating with families creates and did create a childcare crisis. As you well know, there are many families with 2 working parents, single working parent households, families with custody issues, and not everybody has family to rely upon for coverage. I am addressing this tonight not only on behalf of parents and guardians, but for a student who faced the burden of trying to make transportation and childcare arrangements for a sibling, and who asked me to specifically speak with the board and the new members about what had happened. This greatly distresses me. This should not be placed, this burden, these undue stresses on children. 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds, they should not be able to make these decisions for childcare. It was also recommended by the student that a committee be organized that would act as or organize announcements and emails to go out in advance to avoid this scenario from happening again. The administration and staff have conveyed to me many times over the past year that it is common practice to give the students the responsibility of conveying information to parents and guardians, whether it be athletic practice cancellations or dropping classes without the consent of a parent or a guardian. I want to remind everyone that these students are still minors and under the care of guardians and parents. I would like the assurance that aside from an emergency, that parents, guardians, and children will receive advance notice of any and all school schedule changes. So that's what I am mostly here for tonight. On a lighter note, a happier note, I just wanted to say that I was a part of a wonderful charitable shopping event that happened to donate coats and boots for children, students. And it was brought to my attention that these people who have been doing this for 8 years have never had recognition by the school, and I don't know that the board was even aware of it. So I just want to say who these people are, and I had the pleasure of joining in with them this year. Jim McCarthy, Lori Erath, Greg Goldstein, Jim and Sue Shealy, Dale and Deb Shaver, Mike and Lori Mickelson, Kyle Walter, Dwight Coombe, and Phil Coombe. So just to thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. And I just, will we get the reassurance or maybe have some notification if there a committee can be set up per this child's request? We will look into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Justine. Okay, item number 11 is announcements, reminders, and upcoming events. Mr. Pulley, anything?
As Superintendent Long said, we had a very good performance. What was incredible with the Alice in Wonderland, it was the best attended musical or play that we've had in the years that I've been here. As she mentioned, we had the Veterans Day Assembly today that was put on by the Student Council. And Mr. Robertson, who is a veteran, presented the school with a framed picture of the Vietnam Memorial Wall in honor of Dennis Eckerly, who was a graduate of Tri-Valley and served in Vietnam. If you haven't heard, the football game tomorrow has been moved to 10 o'clock. Originally, it was at 7 o'clock, but the impending weather forced that to be moved up. And our cross-country team travels tomorrow and competes Saturday at the States. Today was the end of 10 weeks. Grades are due. They will be turned in by Monday. It's our hope that we'll make them available to parents by Wednesday next week. is Parent Teacher Conference Day as well. Our FBLA next Wednesday leave for their National Fall Conference in Orlando. And as I said, parent-teacher conferences from 5 until 8. And fortunately, we get a Thanksgiving break beginning on the 23rd. So it's been a very, very busy 10 weeks. It's gone quickly. And each day we just try to get a little better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Polley. Is anyone from the elementary? I don't see Jen Williams here tonight.
She's not here tonight.
Okay, all right. So item number 12 is new business, and we have school tax collection 2022-2023. Can I have a motion to accept the school tax collection?
Motion.
Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Rose. Any discussion?
If I may, please. How is the response to our taxes? Are they pretty well paid up? And if not, when does the county make us whole?
We are still doing tabulations. The official close of the tax season was Friday the 4th, but with postmarks and stuff, we're working on that. We will have, in our December meeting, I will have the exact numbers. I can tell you, just looking at it, as per usual, our taxpayers come forward and pay. I'm going to tell you, we're probably going to be in the 87 to 91% collection as of the November 4th. By November 15th, we have to turn over to both Sullivan and Ulster counties whatever taxes were not paid, and they get re-levied on their January bills. The unique thing in New York State is that all our tax bills are made whole by the counties, and that usually happens early April. But we're probably looking at probably about $800,000 turning over out of $21 million, but we'll get that money in April.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, please proceed to vote.
Yay.
That's unanimous, and be it resolved, the board discharges the tax collector from their duties for school tax collection 2022 to 2023. Thank you. Next item is 12B, Town of Neversink Parks and Rec's annual funding discussion. It's for public information. Is there anybody have anything to say about the annual agreement between the town and the school? Any questions? Or I sent out a copy of the contract, and you have the other documents. Anything?
I support our continuing $10,000 payment to the town. If you look at what the district and especially our students receive for that money, between use of the town facilities, the programs, swimming, the ice rink, all those kind of things, it's a win-win, I think, so I'm in favor of it, absolutely.
Good.
I agree also. The town has been very good to our district, and it does take care of a lot of our district kids. Outside of the district, kids from Tri-Valley would not have that opportunity if we didn't support that. And there is a number of them that do go to that program and get a lot out of it. And especially when we had COVID, they were the only ones that was open. And they took care of our kids then, thank goodness. So, yes, my question is, the timeline is being paid. What's the anticipated timeline? I see it, the contract says, I don't know exactly, but first of the year? Payment by the first of the year?
I think it's the 31st of December.
So does it go out then, or do we have a time in the budget that has to go out, in our budget?
The budget that was adopted for the 22-23 school year has a line item for $10,000 for youth programs. This reporting and requesting of the funds is an annual formality. They give a report of what monies they spent the year before, so it usually happens about this time of year. This is on discussion for tonight. As we move into next week, I will generate the check request. It will probably be paid on December 1st. It might make it November 17th, but it'll be paid by December 1st.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item under 12C is proposed budget calendar 2023 to 2024 discussion.
I put this up for proposal on this time every year to adopt at the first board meeting. It's a timeline for developing the budget for next year. There are some highlights in the documents that I sent to you in yellow that are some differences and some, it's always watching when Easter break is, when everything falls into place. So the first items I want to show you is I have two dates listed for budget adoption, either March 30th or April 11th. I will take April 11th as the drop dead date. The reason I put two up there is since I've been here early on in my tenure here, we had some trouble with, with shipping and mailing out all information. So the earlier we can adopt it, the better. That's why one of the reasons I do that, because we don't do all that printing in-house. We rely on DCMO BOCES for the newsletters and everything. So we put those two dates out there. New York State budget is supposed to be adopted by April 1st. So that's where sometimes we have some changes, but that's why I put those two dates in there. The budget hearing is scheduled for May 9th this year. That's only 1 week before the budget vote. The little difference we have is that it's usually 2 weeks before, but last year when the board calendar was adopted for the year, that's a small change. Not that it's monumental, just to bring it to everybody's attention. Also, the budget vote's May 16th is a statewide budget vote day. In developing the board calendar for the year, there is no board meeting that night. The board meeting follows the week after, so that's the night you will adopt the results of that. And lastly, June 20th is the statewide budget revote day in case budgets are turned down and you boards opt to revote it. That's the statewide day when that vote takes place.
Okay. All right, that is, anybody else have anything for that? So that is for public information and discussion. Thank you. Item D is the Foxcroft Village LLC refunds as per the agreement. Can I have a motion to accept the resolution for the Foxcroft Village LLC refunds?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by George, second by Danielle. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
I have a question.
Okay.
Will we get a report on the criteria that they have to do in order to get this money? Or
something should be coming back through Fallsburg, right?
I believe in the initial discussions that are available over in my office, if you would like to see the parameters of which this agreement were made, I believe we shared them with the board when we talked about this earlier. You can see the parameters of this agreement and what Foxcroft has to do to maintain the reduction in their tax levy as they move forward, and I'm happy to share that with you.
no, I have that, but my question is, will Fallsburg notify you? And they're the ones that are doing the inspections, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Please proceed to vote.
Yeah.
That's unanimous. Be it resolved, the board approves the refunds of $15,775.51, school tax levy, and $330.19 library tax levy as per agreement with Foxcroft Village LLC for SBL number 2.1-11.2 for the 2022-2023 tax levy. This agreement was approved by the Tri-Valley Central School District Board of Education at its October 6th, 2022 board meeting. Thank you. Item E is voting machine information by Bob Whitaker. It's for public information and discussion.
I believe everybody was shared a packet from ES&S with some information regarding voting machines. A brief history of my time here. It used to be that during school board election season, the county had a bunch of levered machines laying around that every school district borrowed, and they used them every year to hold their votes. Back maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the county was no longer maintaining those machines. It was mothballing them. We had a discussion at the board level. There was no way if something went wrong with them that we could ever continue to use those because they were going to electronic voting. And at that time, I had done some initial research into some machines, and they were pretty expensive. We decided, looking at the track history of voting in Tri-Valley and Sullivan County as a whole, the number of voters was basically dwindling every year. So for the 200 to 250 voters we were going to have, we decided we would hold paper ballots. Fast forward to a year last year when we had over 900 votes cast, and it took a long time to tabulate them. Right after that vote, Mrs. Pena had been talking to some other district clerks. Livingston Manor and Roscoe had used this ES&S system, and they were done with, and they had quite a few people vote last year also. They closed their vote in 40 minutes from A to Z. So we started looking into it. What does it entail? Hopefully last year was a sign that more increased voters will come out and vote during budget time. So this is an information packet. This system, there's 2 or 3 of them out there. I'm not familiar with the third one. There's another one called Bold Election Systems. They're pretty pricey, and they're more geared towards large turnouts, 20,000 plus people. This one has a lot of documentation, and I just wanted to present tonight some of the pricing on it. The machine itself is $6,200, $6,500 with some of the drives and stuff like that. One of the key things there, the very first year, the project management, how to train all your workers and the people that are running it, that's a one-time fee of $2,200. Some licensing. The one thing I did want to make people aware of is that the cost of coding and the layout fees for the ballots is an annual fee probably of between $1,800 and $2,000. Pretty pricey for ballots, but you have that here. And also the one other part of the machine, there's a $3,000 fee for an assist terminal. What that basically says, it is an option, but if you have voters that are blind or hearing impaired, it helps people with disabilities vote. So looking at the machine, year one, there's probably a $12,000 expense. And then every year after that, probably about $2,000. I think I included in the packet all about their security. It's a very commonly used thing. It's been certified by NIST, which is an organization nationwide about secure levels and things about hacking. There's a whole bunch of information in there. So I bring it before the board tonight just as an information item to discuss, to see if you'd like us to look at moving forward or maintaining our paper ballot. That's basically the 2 options we have moving forward. Nothing has to be acted on in the real near future. The availability of the machine, she actually told me if you ordered it in March, it'd be all set. I don't want to wait till then because after the world of construction, I don't believe anything's coming on time. But I just bring it up for tonight for discussion for the first time around, and we can look into it more and get more particulars. The Ingrid, I forget her last name, would be willing to do a Zoom presentation if you have an interest at a board meeting also to see more about it.
Any thoughts, anybody?
I think it's a phenomenal idea. After sitting here for almost 4.5 hours last year, watching these poor people who worked all day continue their day till the start of the next day, like there's no reason we should ever do that again. I think this is a great use of available technology. So I'm fully in support of it.
Hey, Bob, are the people that work that the toll or the polls, are they paid by us or?
Yes, all our election workers are paid.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, I think that was a long night and a long day, so.
Basically, this machine is not removing the need for humans, because most of the work they do is the registration live and the organization and making sure everything is being run properly. It's more so a tabulation thing at the end that helps expedite getting your results and getting people out quicker.
If I may share my opinion, last year was something that was rather new. We had 7 candidates, and it took quite a while, and we had a lot of voters, first time in quite some time, which we're glad to see their involvement. I understood it took a long time, but I really believe the credibility of the people that were doing it is beyond reproach. You cannot compromise that in any way. I do not have the faith in the technology today. I think there's a lot of room for mistakes in our technology. And it could last longer than just 4 hours or 3 hours. So I am against moving forward in any way than any type of technology other than what we've been doing last year. I don't know what you did before that, but I was satisfied. I had a concern because it did last quite a while. But the people that run it, their credibility to me is beyond reproach. So we're fortunate to have those type of people in the community, and we should not discount them in any way. And I do not want to send a message out there that that's what's happening. So I do support to continue the way we're doing it.
Bob, I have a question. Do you know, is one machine enough?
Yes.
Is there a threshold where we go into 2 or,
No, I think the only, I voted 7:45 the other night in Rock Hill. And at that point in time after dinner, I'm going to say there was 65 people there all at once to vote. And they only had 2 machines, and I was out of there in 15 minutes. So, there will be, during your peak times, there may be a little slowdown of getting through, but that's the natural course to, I don't know, taking another $10,000 would be sense. And, like you said, most of this machine's designed for up to, 5,000-6,000 voters on any given day. You take a place like Monticello, which has, I don't know how many they still have, but they have like 5 separate polling places. I could investigate some other districts our size with them and see if anybody's gone to 2 and see if they felt the need to do that.
When you voted, was it the machine that people were waiting on, or was it?
It was people? More so. No, it wasn't the machine really, because it's more so you just had an influx of people that you had to sign in. They had to give them instructions because the other day, there was a back of the ballot in New York State, so that every person had to be told, please make sure, so it really wasn't the machine, because we will, you've done it, you just put it there, was it take 10 seconds, your ballot has been cast. So it's more so, I think one machine would definitely help. It's the nature of any election is you have your peaks and valleys of when attendance is there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Any comments? Okay, thank you, Bob. We're going to go to item 13, which is the board comment section, and I'm going to invite our board members to comment between the board, ask a question or a comment that pertains to board business. Okay, so I'll go around the room. Travis, you have anything?
I have nothing.
Okay. George?
Yeah. I do.
Okay.
If I may go to the podium.
Sure.
I feel a little more comfortable that I can see other board members.
Okay.
Everybody hear me all right? What I would like to propose for the district is to bring back driver education. When this school was chartered, we had it from day one. I know we had it past 205. From that time forward, I don't know what happened. I think driver education is more important today than ever. When I was growing up, there was a lot of back roads, a lot of cow paths, a lot of farms. The kids could learn to drive, and they learned to drive, physically drive, and back roads and farms where they could safely. We don't have that anymore. It's okay to learn in the classroom, but they really, really need to learn the technique of driving behind the steering wheel. If we lose one child from Tri-Valley, whatever the cost of this driver education is, you won't live it down. It's heartbreaking. We do have some funds, I think, that we can pull from. But I will not waste my time if the board doesn't think that's something that we should look into. I'm willing to spend the time on this type of issue. But if you don't want to do it, that's up to you. But I'd like to put it out there. I ran on that when I ran for the board, and it was well received by the community, the ones I spoke to, and got hold of me on sidebars. So I really believe we need to look at that for our children here at Tri-Valley. And another thing, we're having trouble, so we were told, about trying to get kids involved. Also keeping them in school more than half a day. Maybe restructure the curriculum accordingly. Maybe we can keep those kids in school. And also, maybe while they're here looking for something to do, they'll take some extra courses. We need to get these kids back to the educational thinking. We lost them the last 2 years because everybody knows what went on. So I really believe this would help. But if it saves one child again, that's more than worth it. But I need to know if you think that it's something you would like to look at, because I will take the time to study it, and I already have talked to a number of people prior to me being elected to the board. So, and that was not just the public, that was people that maybe could help out in certain ways with the finances of it. So if I could have a vote tonight to see which direction you'd like to go, and I will pursue it.
So are you saying that you want a driver's ed program to be here at Tri-Valley? Because I know we did collaborate with BOCES over the summer where they offered that program.
Rose, let me just say, so you have a question. So we heard the comment. So the question is, before we open up the discussion, the question is, you're interested in a proposal to bring driver's ed back?
Correct.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but we'll get to it, okay?
But the proposal doesn't mean that we need to have it or would have it unless we do our due diligence in finding the funding for it and weigh that with what the advantages really are for having driver ed and our children.
So the question is to the board is that you would like to get a formal proposal to bring driver's ed back to Tri-Valley. So
to do a study,
to do a proposal,
right.
To see what. So you can make a motion, and if someone seconds it, we'll move to discussion, and then we'll open it up for the board to talk about.
As a board member, I make a motion for that.
So you make a motion to do that. You were requesting a formal proposal. Do we have a second? Tim, second. Any discussion, Rose? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just curious because I know we did collaborate with BOCES and have a driver's ed program over the summer.
This past summer?
Yes.
Well, The economy, the kids have to pay for that, too, correct? The families have to pay for that, correct?
No,
I'm asking you, I don't know.
no.
Okay, how many of our kids did it take in? We don't know.
If I may,
Absolutely.
every year I reserve in conjunction with the guidance department here, they ask for an initial service request and a final service request. I think we ask between 6 and 10 seats for a driver ed program over the summer at BOCES. What happens then, and I will tell you the most difficult part of that is it's over the summer, because now you have to get the BOCES. But we do offer the program through BOCES at no cost to the children, but that's all done. We work with the guidance department on how many kids are interested in taking it over the summer.
I can see the summer's a problem, especially with the economy being what it is. Everybody's going to be trying to work as much as they can. 10 kids is not enough. And have they been surveyed to see why they don't take it? Because they're busy doing something else. Sure, a library does our classes that sits behind a desk, but they do not have the experience of actual getting behind a wheel. And today, a lot of parents don't even do that for their kids. So I think it's behoove us to put that back in place. Obviously, there was a reason why the school had it for so many years, because it was a success. And I don't quite understand why we went away from it. So that's a question I'm asking. Put it back, bring it back.
I will admit that I've had feedback a little bit about it's just not convenient like it was. Parents have to drop off and pick the child up, the student up in Liberty, and they liked it the way it was. But I don't have a problem doing supporting a feasibility proposal to see what would it take and what it would cost.
Keith, you mind if I
Personally.
You mind if I
Sure.
George, I was a graduate of the driver's ed program here. I don't know the costs associated with it. I know obviously the car and the teacher and the time, but I know we have plenty of kids that are in study halls. I actually enjoyed it. We had a good time. We learned how to drive. Mr. Michaels was the teacher at the time. He was a good time. So let's take a look, and if something we can do, let's try to do it. That's my opinion.
Was this something offered during school or after school previously?
It was during school. It was a period of your day, and I want to say it was only for half the year, but it was usually juniors or seniors would take it.
Half a year for half the students. And the other half, the other students would get it. It was a full year course. And it did cover all of our students. I mean, look, when I was growing up, I had an opportunity to learn how to drive. I was 8 years old sitting behind a steering wheel in a hayfield. I mean, you can't do that today. What better place to learn under our guidance? And look, there's money there. I'll give you an example alone. And this should be thought about, even if we don't have driver ed, you decide not to. Keeping our buses down here instead of sending them back and forth twice a day, that's a lot of money because we pay for fuel. What district would not want to save money? Besides that, we talk about the environment. What are we doing to it? We're talking about emissions more than ever today. We as educators, we're talking out both sides of our mouth.
George, I don't want to really interrupt you. Can we do the one thing and get it out of the way?
I'm waiting for it.
Okay, so Janet, can we put this on the screen to vote as an action? Okay, that's fine. So why don't we do a show of hands and see if you want to support a proposal to just take a look at it and see if we can bring driver's ed back, what it would take and what the cost of it, all right? Support, all in favor?
Can you just clarify that, just a proposal to see what the cost would be only?
Well, feasibility and the cost of it,
Okay.
what's involved,
That sounds reasonable.
okay?
And if possible, could we look into the cost as an after-school program versus a class during the day?
Was that,
I see a problem right now with that, and it's a good idea, but most of our kids, we want participating in extracurricular, and that goes on right after school. If you make the school day any longer than that, the kids aren't going to get their homework done. They're going to be, we talk about mental illness, talk about stress on the parents. That, it sounds great, but there's only so many hours a day for our children and our parents.
so we could look at both, right? And just see how it plays out? Okay, so we'll clarify the question. The question is, can we provide a study, a proposal for bringing back driver's ed as an educational class and or as an after-school program? Does that sound okay?
I would be in the forefront in studying this and talking to people, but I will not be talking to people until this is approved by the board.
Okay, that's the question? Okay, so,
Yeah, that sounds
all right,
either or.
everybody understands that? Okay, you want to take a vote?
Well, hold on a second, Keith. George, do you have a problem with the BOCES program? I mean, I understand what you're saying because I took driver's ed in high school myself. The kids have a pretty full day as it is.
You mean for the summer?
For this, yeah, do you have a problem with the BOCES program for the summer?
Yes, I do, because it didn't meet all the kids. And again, this is also something maybe we can get our kids to stay in school during the school day to give them an extra incentive to stay here, that they're going to get driver ed sometime during the afternoon. So we're talking about trying to keep kids in class and getting more interested in being here and spur some type of excitement educationally as well. So, that might mean a lot, especially to the parents as well. So it's not just a one thing item. I'm trying to cover all the bases here and thinking more of our students and getting them taken care of, not only through driver ed, but through educationally. I mean, we sat here and we heard the problem we have trying to keep our students engaged. And the issue of absenteeism is quite substantial as well, so we were told. So we have to think outside the box sometimes, and maybe we can get them excited again educationally. I mean, it worked all these years. I mean, I think some of you went to school here and they had driver's ed. And what did you get out of it? I mean, now you can relate that to your kids. How many parents let their child drive and your heart is in your throat until they get to where they're going? I mean, probably every one of you, if you want to admit it. So, if they have that type of schooling and education and we do it for them, wow. So, look, it's up to you to decide. It's not up to me. I will put my effort forward. Tell you how important it is to me. When we had a bond, when I was on the board, we had a $10 million bond with a 1,000-seat auditorium on it. It came in $2 million over. First thing the board says, well, we're going to have to cut it to 800 seats. Meantime, the public said we wanted a 1,000-seat auditorium. They approved it. I said, that's what they want. Let's do it. I spent 2 weeks with my own engineer and the clerk of the works. We got it down $2 million so we could do it. And that's what we have today. What school has a 1,000-seat auditorium with the way it is and having There's other schools coming from all over the state. Wow, I think that's great. So obviously, Tri-Valley is noted for a lot. So let's get back to taking care of our children. I mean, look, I don't want to spend the money either, but I have an idea that I can approach things so it will be limited. I can't guarantee it, but my first discovery before I ran for the board could have been a win-win situation, I feel. But again, it's up to the board to decide if you want to proceed forward and allow me to investigate it.
Bob, question. If a school has driver's ed, there's no reason a student couldn't take the class in BOCES. If you look at some of our juniors, they're taking college level classes. They don't have room in their schedule. I understand incorporating kids who have room in their schedule, but there's no reason that you would be precluded from taking it if BOCES offers it, right? You could have the both.
No, working with our guidance department and administrator, if we had the class, but if over the summer there was X number of kids that wanted to take it, it would still be available that way,
Bob, I have a question. Do you know when the program stopped here and for the initially and the reasons why? Just to give us some back context.
No. If I was to say anything out to you right now, it'd just be from hearsay. I really couldn't give you concrete evidence right now, because when I first came to work here, there was a driver's ed car on campus here, but it was not really, it was for, at that point in time, there was for lack of a better term, a roving instructor for the summer. So that's summer, it was for summer usage, but that roving, they would come here and do the class driving from here. That lasted for a year, and I think the person that was doing the instruction was no longer available.
When did you come? What year did you come here?
15, 16 was my first year.
Pretty sure it stopped when Walt Cooper retired. Walt took over when all my work. I don't know when that is.
Okay, you want to put it up, vote for a proposal of the two programs, one educational during the educational day and one after school? Okay. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Is that unanimous? That's unanimous. Janet? Okay.
Thank you. I will do my due diligence. So if you're here in the community that I'm out poking around, I've got your permission. I appreciate that. Another thing I'd like to present is lighting at the track. Make no mistake, I do not want this school district to be known as an athletic academy. That's not my purpose. My purpose is flexibility. My purpose is community involvement, parent involvement. How many of you have gone to games and you had to get off of work at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock and you had to travel an hour to get back here? I mean, how many of you at times are in that situation? Probably all the time if you're working. Our kids need the support. The flexibility would be tremendous. But not only for our athletes. Look, we took care of our arts in the auditorium, 1,000-seat auditorium. We took care of that. And I'm glad to see it's being used more. But now we need to take care of the total district. It doesn't mean just the athletes could be out there. I mean, we just went through a program with Mr. Whitaker, and it was called the, help me here, Mr. Whitaker, where you brought the bus in and for a night or something to bring the kids from the district and had some success there. Well, it's not just for the athletes. Maybe we could bring a community in, the kids in. It doesn't have to be high school. It could be elementary. They could do something outside. Get these kids outside more, because when you have them inside, you got wear and tear on your facilities, especially your gymnasium. So I think it's a win-win situation. there's a number of ways if you could do it. I do not know the cost, and I won't pretend to be. But the only thing is, please do not go out in the community and say what you think is going to cost without knowing, because that is defeating it right away. So, I mean, look, think about the number of kids that would work with, and the parents coming to games in the evening. I mean, how many of you have gone to a football game or a soccer game or a baseball game under the lights? What do you, as a parent, your kids they're ecstatic that just by having that experience. I never had that going to school, but it's there today. You look around our county alone, I don't know for a fact, but they've been telling me every school has lights, except for Tri-Valley. Even Eldred has lights, and they're expanding on that. So it's not the prestige of having it. It's what our children and our students will get out of it. Again, we get them excited. They want to come to school. A friend of mine has a bumper sticker on his truck that says, "Kids that hunt and fish don't mug little old ladies." You know what that means? That means if they kept busy, they're not going to do things they shouldn't be doing. And Lord already knows it's out there today. We have to really watch everything that goes on. And we're very fortunate here at Tri-Valley to what we have. But I want to expand on that. And I think it would do us well to have something like that. Now, there's a number of ways of doing that. Again, I don't know what it costs. You could put out, I've talked to a number of people prior to being elected, and I've talked to some afterwards. And they said it would be good for the community. Make no mistake, though, there's ways of doing it, again, if we really want to get into it. A survey could go out to the parents, which I think is important anyway. But why not to the kids? How do they feel about it? I went to a ball game down in Rock Hill for young kids, Little League kids. At night, under the lights, of course. My goodness, they couldn't find enough parking spaces. And these are for young kids. So, yeah, get our young kids engaged, get that culture of engagement from there and move it up. But, you know, we don't have to look at the physical structure of the lights at first. You know, we could use temporary. They've done a lot with the type of lighting today. We don't need as many. And I've heard numbers out there that I said, wow, very reasonable for a unit. $500 to $700 a month for a unit. I mean, how many kids and community members would that serve? Again, let's try to get them excited. Again, it's up to the board. I won't look at it. I do have plans from Chester when they put theirs in back in 2004, 2003. Of course, specs have changed and stuff like that, you know. And again, it's how we approach it through SCD. If we can find a way to do it, and Mr. Whitaker could correct me on this, educationally and in the parameters of getting state aid, I mean, that's something to look at, but it takes work. And I don't mind doing that and asking the questions. So I'm putting forth to you again, if you allow me, I will do the work.
So the question you want to make is proposal?
If you would like to bring lights to the school and do a study on it to see the cost, the analysis benefit.
So the question is a proposal for permanent lights and or temporary lights?
For now, correct.
Just as a little background for anybody who wasn't on the board or aware, the number the last time the board looked at this was $400,000 to $500,000. and it was an 18-month process because you have to do an environmental review. So just kind of a little bit of information there.
Well, I think you're right as far as the timeline. You know, it could take a while, but I think if anything was time to do it, it's now. I think people are going to be hungry for some type of contract because there's not going to be much out there in the next couple years. But we have to do it in a very fiscal, responsible way. And I intend on doing that.
All right, Pat, was that a proposal that came into the officially, or is that something that?
This is going back a couple of years. Members of the board wanted to know how feasible it was to do certain things. Lighting at the track was one of them. A turf field was another one. That was over $1 million from, if memory serves. There was interest in some kind of expanded facility so we could have more basketball courts, you know, a field house type thing. People kind of threw out their wish list items, and the architects came back with a number. When all was said and done for the field house, it was like $30 million, and we didn't have land to do it either. But it was, you know, just kind of people had questions, and answers were provided. But those are some of the things, probably going back to Mr. Williams' first full year here.
Into what year?
When Mike Williams' first year here.
Okay, so it's pretty recent, fairly recent. 4 or 5 years.
Wasn't there an issue with the temporary lighting too? I feel like I remember.
Once the new track was put in, it was determined that we did not want to put any equipment on the track that we would chance marring a brand new track with lights. The lights that we would get would leak on the track, and that was an issue with having a brand new track that people weren't willing to risk a brand new track.
No, I understand that completely.
Can I just for a second? You know, if where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, we are the only district really left around here that doesn't have lights on their outdoor facilities. I mean, Eldred, Roscoe Manor, they have them. Ellenville, Liberty. You go back 20 years, none of these schools had them. Now everybody has them. I for one, am definitely in favor of it. It just increases the experience for the student athletes. It expands our abilities here to host, and I agree. I'd love to see something fresh, a fresh estimate, and see if it is feasible with our current financial state.
I agree. I don't have a problem with a proposal. All right, you want to put it up? A proposal for lighting at the track, at the field, the athletic field. Football field. All right. That's the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. That's unanimous, Janet. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. George, you want to make the motion? I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself.
I don't mind, but I'd rather have someone else make it. I'll vote for it, but if someone else would make it only because
all right, Tim,
I'm presenting it.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. So Tim is made the motion, Randy second, and it's unanimous.
Now, please, if anybody has any input and then they want to share, if you did do a study and you got some information on paper or something that we could look back, Mr. Whitaker would have that?
I would think you would, yeah.
That information is available, at that date. It was via SWBR, I believe, had done all the work, so that should be relatively easy to get together and disseminate.
Maybe if this gets out in the community, maybe there would be some parties that would like to start fundraising too. We know, it's all part of our kids and they're very involved. And I think they'd be honored they did it for the playground. They raised $92,000 for the original playground, $92,000 for a playground. So the community can do that. So if anybody has any thoughts and anybody wants to offer their help, I will take it and run. So thank you.
Thank you, George. All right, we'll just keep it moving along. Rose, anything? Tim? Brent? Pat? Randy?
I just want to take a moment to recognize the girls' varsity soccer team. 8 wins, 2 losses, 3 ties. It's been 30 years since we've been to the sectionals. They won their division. They were the number 1 seed. Quite proud of them. Congratulations to our athletes, Coach Connolly, Coach McGregor, for all their hard work. That home playoff game that we had against Burke, Cass did a wonderful job with the field. The community came out. It was loud. It was exciting. And the Bears will be back. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, it wasn't quite that long. It was 1994, 95 year they went to states.
30 years.
That's 30?
It's 30. Sorry, George.
You're making me older there, buddy.
At least you have your hair.
Thank you.
Danielle?
I would just like to say congratulations to our New York State #1 chapter for FFA. They spent the last week of October, 10 students. Congratulations to Mrs. Burke and Mrs. Whiteman for bringing 10 students to National Convention in Indianapolis with 66,000 other students. Tri-Valley placed in the top 10 for their booth display, and it was nonstop all the time there. Additionally, these 10 children were able to experience things as they covered 4 states in that week. The kids left here at 3:30 in the morning on Sunday and returned the following Sunday at 4:30 in the afternoon. And they went to Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, and Michigan for different stops along the way besides National Convention. Thank you, Mr. Pulley, for agreeing for that trip for those children. It was a fabulous experience. They toured the Louisville Slugger Museum, the Henry Ford Museum, the Wilson Football Factory, the Ford Rogue Factory tour, and an aquaponics lab, and some other different things besides the convention. So what a phenomenal experience, and our kids had a great time, and thank you all for that.
Thank you, Danielle.
We did have a previous graduate of 2 years went on to national show in horse showmanship in the whole country. She placed 17th out of thousands. So that was a Carrie girl.
Okay. We're moving to adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Keith, can I put in a request for executive session to talk about personnel?
Sure, if you want to.
Yeah, it'll be 5 minutes.
Okay. You're making a motion. We have a second?
Second.
Randy? Okay, we're going to go into executive session.
If everybody leaves, can we stay here? There'll be no business conducted.
There'll be no
after.
business.